Testing, testing. Might get a little mic here. Hey, Lena, can I just get a little bit up here? Good morning. How is everybody? Wonderful, wonderful. Well, welcome to the coffee for May. Will you pray with me for just a moment? Lord, we thank you for this gathering, as always, to enjoy each other's company and hear the things that are happening on this active campus here at Sunnyside. Please pray with us and be with us with those that we've recently lost and those that are in need of your caring hands to surround them. As we move forth from here, please watch over our residents, our staff, their families, and be with them and guide them in their service and work for you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you. Well, welcome once again. We are working out just a few technical difficulties, so if we lose a PowerPoint here, please bear with us, but I think we're getting all that together. So I've got a number of things to go through, lots of things with campus activities. We're kind of in the both physical campus activities, renovations, and various planning projects, as well as fun activities, as springtime is kind of gearing up with all sorts of things to do, which I'm sure many of you are already doing that, and I see that there's some void pockets of open chairs here where a lot of people might be doing that today. We do apologize for the parking today, and I'll explain where we are with that. Let me check my batteries here. Can you advance me back there? There we go. So here's a picture of a couple nurses, and if you can advance to the next slide. Last week we had National Nurses Week, and we had a lot of fun activities, usually revolving around food for our nursing staff. They enjoy that. But just highlighting our nurses that work so hard for us throughout the week, and we sort of highlighted that towards the end of the week with resident nurses who were lifetime, career nurses with our staff for a nice sit-down meal, and they enjoyed some time together. So I share here, if you see one of our nurses, please thank a nurse, if you will, because they do so much good work for us. They work hard for us every day, and we just really appreciate their support. And there's no shortage of weeks that we celebrate here. So just about every week, there's a week. So I always trying to keep in tune with what week it is. But last week was Nurses Week, and this week is actually National Nursing Home Week. And so there's a lot of activities occurring within Panhandle Healthcare Center, and one of which is what caused some of the parking issues today. So right now, starting from 10 to noon, we actually have students from Cub Run Elementary, residents from the healthcare center that are enjoying a carriage ride throughout the campus down right there outside of Panhandle Healthcare. And actually, from a scheduling standpoint, it was just the only day we could get them because they are doing this every day for National Nursing Home Week. So we appreciate your patience with that. And I think that's beyond that. We can move to the next slide, please. Wanted to update you, so I sent out a campus memo with regards to Rockingham Family Physicians. So thought we should cover that in discussion and answer any questions while we're here. So after 25 years of visiting the campus, Rockingham Family Physicians notified us that after November, beginning of November, they're no longer going to be able to see residents in our clinic. But, of course, they will see residents and all their patients who are Rockingham Family Physicians in their office on Erickson Avenue. And we, of course, will provide any transportation that is needed, and actually also clinic coordination, because oftentimes our clinic is calling Rockingham Family Physicians maybe for you or to check on things with an appointment and all those things. So we'll continue those services. They've just, in that, I think I explained in the letter, but I'll share with you, they reference just the changing healthcare environment as part of that challenge. And this has been ongoing for the last 10 years where, that they're seeing more and more, visits that in their office and more patients in their office, and so they're really at a point where they're having to balance whether they can, come here to see probably not as many patients as they could see in their office, and so from an efficiency standpoint, they really are focusing on that practice and trying to see their patients in the office. They did share that Doug Smith is going to retire sometime in 2018 as a clarification. So anybody that's a Doug Smith patient, apparently you have some time to work that out with the practice as to whether you want to stay with the practice or look at other alternatives. And we are actually talking to other providers who may have some interest in being a provider down in the clinic as well. So in the long run, we could end up with, certainly very good support with Rockingham Family Physicians. They've always been supportive, and they say they will still be supportive of seeing campus residents, especially new residents who are outside of the area, so they have access to physician care. But also, if we could connect with another provider that would come to the clinic and see residents in the clinic, we will entertain that option as well. And there was a question. Blood draws in the clinic, those things, yes, can still be done here, and we have a relationship with the lab where we just send that over to the hospital lab. So if there are any changes in clinic services, we will educate everybody and let them know let residents know any changes with regards to that. But this is specific to just seeing your doctor in the clinic as a Rockingham Family Physician patient. So we, in doing some numbers there on campus, we kind of, we feel like there's about 130 residents on campus that are Rockingham Family Physician patients. So it's about, a quarter of the campus. So as we make those changes, we will, if we find another provider, we may find folks that, would like to just be seen here, or they may stay with Rockingham Family Physicians, and then ongoing new residents may choose to just be seen here as well. So more details to come on that, but I wanted to cover that because I know it's a very important topic. There's Ms. Kuhn. Nellie? So the question is, does insurance have any problem in paying when you're seen here? And the answer to that is no, because the physician practice just bills your insurance just as if they were being seen in their office. Yes, sir.
Could you move the podium over this way?
Absolutely. Go podium less. So, yes, ma'am. Correct. So the question is, from a clinic communication standpoint, will we still be able to do that and communicate with other practitioners? And we do that, and we have done that, and we do not anticipate right now to change any of that, because it's oftentimes an assistance for the residents to coordinate care. And so the clinic not only talks with Rockingham Family Physicians group, but they also talk to other medical groups all throughout town for various things. So, okay, enough on that. We'll just keep you updated as we have more information about other providers. Thank you. Okay, a little bit of an update for campus census. We sort of hanging around the 91% mark overall. We've seen really good independent living traffic, so to speak, and we have some reservations out there of folks moving in. And the Island Center and the Panhandle Healthcare Center has really stayed pretty steady, pretty high, and we anticipate that will pretty much stay that way for quite a while. So, and as a marketing update, I always like to share that just because I think it's interesting, for you to know how much traffic and how much interest there is in the Sunnyside campus, because you're a crucial part of that. Oftentimes you know folks that are coming to look at our accommodations and experience the lifestyle here. So just so you're in the know about what's happening. So I say March went out like a lamb and April came in like a lion. And so there were 5 people that made reservations for the campus, and then so far in May we have three more. So that's exciting. There are pockets of places around the campus that have some openings, and that it's exciting for folks to have new neighbors and make new friends and whatnot. And so that is beginning to happen in a more robust way. So I'm excited about that for the entire campus. All the while, I share a few things. It's not like marketing doesn't have anything to do, right, Nancy? She's like, yes, I've got plenty to do. But they've been working on a new technology, new sort of lead management system where they input some information, and it kind of helps them gather, things for that kind of work. And we're also close to rolling out a new website, for the corporation, and there's been a lot of input and need of work on that. So all throughout the winter time and, juggling with the different events they're doing, they've been working on those things as well. So we have some fun things happening with the events. There was actually a Marketing on the Move event that they traveled for last month, and we had a casino night in April, which many of you were here for that, and that was a fun time. And just this Sunday, there's an antique car show, which keeps getting larger, and I think there's going to be some more opportunities for eating food, which I know some of you like to do that. I do. And also, there's music, there's unique cars to see. So it should be a vibrant day on Sunday for some activity. Don't know if there's any rain. Anybody seeing any rain? So hopefully marketing staff are like, nope, Josh, stop talking about it. So, oh, look who's back. So I left our friend on my presentation just because we continue to see more activity. So I'd like to just unpack the bear situation a little bit very carefully. I will do it very carefully, but let's talk a little bit about where we've been and kind of where we're going with the bear activity. So since the winter time, since the bear has emerged out of hibernation, we've just seen more activity of the bear on campus. And actually, if you remember, our winter sort of got a little warm, and then I think it got cold again and whatnot. But once they're pretty much out, they're out. And so they've been around the campus, and they've also been in Lakewood and Highland Park and just our surrounding area. And I get a lot of information from the Lakewood Homeowners Association, and oftentimes somebody snapped a picture with their game camera of the bear on their porch and whatnot. So I get that information through the various neighbors that we have. We have shared information multiple times that really the only way to eliminate this activity is to try to eliminate the food source. And if we remember back when we had the biologist here, who I think had a pretty candid explanation about how bears think and how they remember where the gold mine is for food and how they adapt, is that that the bear is not going away until the food goes away. It's basically what he says, and that the bird seed is really bear caviar. They like pumpkins, they like bird seed, and that's their main thing. And if they find that, and garbage, of course, but if they find those things, they're not going to go anywhere else. I referenced that the bear very well could be destroyed at some point, but we can't count on that happening immediately. I mean, I'm trying to, in many ways, build a case for the Department of Game to say, now look, here's kind of my tracking mechanism. The bear's been here. We have a special population here. Please come get this bear. And they will probably do so if I have some evidence to do so. But there you go. But in the interest of the campus and safety of our residents and just overall activity for the campus, that if we can be a little proactive and decrease these, this bird feeding, we hope that that we will find the decrease in activity. So we've asked the residents last year to decrease activity with little to success. I mean, some people did, some people didn't. Last year we had a porch break-in incident on somebody's porch where a bear went in and got into their birdseed. This year we've actually had a bear being on their porch eating birdseed. So, you know, we're sort of at the point of really having to say, please do not put birdseed out. It is just going to attract that bear to be more in your environment. And next slide, please. So we've just asked to take a more stringent approach and not feed the birds. And I know that that's, if I may, just finish and then answer questions. Because it is becoming to the point where the bear is not going to leave until that food source is gone. And as the biologist shared, which is the thing that I'm worried the most about, is that the bear, as they adapt to their environment and this becomes their new feeding place, they are going to seek more opportunities for feeding, which means getting into porches and, you know, wherever they can to find that seed. So one of the things I noted in that memo is that, you know, we would seek to bring in bird feeders because, you know, that's where the birdseed is. Well, I think what I mean there is mainly, you know, I'm not worried about bringing in bird seeders if there's not bird seed in them, you know. So if it's a hassle for you to bring, you know, to get all that in, that's not the important piece. The more important piece is to not be filling them with bird seed. We plan to monitor this ongoing, and we'd like to set a date out there of August 1st, which is a couple months. And at that time, if we, you know, notice that there's no bear activity, maybe the bear's been hit by a car, maybe the bear's been harvested by somebody, then we certainly can get back to our normal practice and revisit, you know, this in the future if we have to. So the basis for all this, in my mind, is resident safety. And I have to share that I've received many calls. While, you know, certainly there are people that, you know, want to enjoy the birds and want to enjoy feeding the birds and things like that. I've received a lot of calls from people who may be single in their homes. They have small pets. They do not feel, you know, safe enough to go out and walk, you know, for fear of encountering this bear. And, you know, and I don't necessarily think a bear is going to just attack somebody, but somebody could fall, you know, as being scared and get, you know, hyperventilated, or some situation could occur that resident safety is in danger. And maybe that's a stretch to a degree, but that's why we are where we are. So there was a question.
A couple weeks ago, I was walking from the Highlands over to sit in that area where you have the checkerboard and where the employees park, and there were 2 bird feeders still active there. Have they been taken in?
I'm not certain if they have just yet, but we will double check that because that would be a prime place. Thank you. Yes.
Does this include hummingbird feeders?
So good question. That's a great question. So in this whole conversation, I remember the biologist sharing that there are other ways to actually feed birds. And so hummingbird feeders is basically sugar water. That's not one that seems to be that is attractive to bears. Watering birds in a bird bath or a water colander where birds can drink water, that's a great way to still have birds show up at your place, but not be, you know, right there. So there's a couple comments, maybe people have done something like that. It's going to come to you.
Last year, we had 2 hummingbird feeders out, and the bear got into both of them.
Did they? Okay. Looking maybe for, here comes the mic.
A bear got into our hummingbird feeder just a couple of months ago, and the hummingbird feeder is still with us, but it's all broken.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's a clarification. I mean, you know, it's eliminating the food source is the key. And one of the 2 examples, and then we'll move on. One of the main things with these folks where the bear has actually come onto the porch is people are keeping birdseed, you know, in a big barrel, basically, in their trash can. So if there are, instances of that, please take them in. If you want maintenance to come get them, they will come get them. I do know somebody on campus that requested that please just come get all this birdseed because the bear had been in their place basically every night for a week. So there's those things, and we're trying to discourage that food source on a campus-wide basis. That's the thing. There may be, there could be an instance where the majority of the birdseed goes away, and then there's, certainly there's still going to be trash cans and things like that. But I think that we'll find less activity as we get these big pockets of food out of the way. And the last thing is, I did take a tour of the new campus, or the new land, and on our way back from that, Annie and a few of her staff were with us. There was a big old bird feeder, that long. Anybody here the owner of that bird feeder? But it was tore to pieces, and I mean, it was a heavy bird feeder. It was not a light little thing, and that kind of highlighted for me that, and that was actually right next to the Vista Villas, where it was left. So for all I know, it had gotten it from somewhere else. But so that's kind of where we are, to walk you through it. Okay, Lakeview Land, to let you know about what's happening with the new land. Mowing has begun on the property. In between the rain, it's been a little difficult with last week's rain and things, but we've gotten over there in pretty good consistency, and a lot of that's happening on the weekends with who we've partnered or contracted with to do that. We've got a nice little asphalt path that's being created to get a nice connection over to the property right up there at the Vista Villas, and that's going to be finished by Friday. And for those of you that live over there and those of you that have seen that activity, it's a nice little out-of-the-way path. It's not encroaching on anybody, and I think it'll be a nice thing. And lastly, there's still a lot of extensive cleanup. So the mowing's one piece. There's holes that we want to make sure we fill in. There's a lot of fallen trees and things we want to clean up, and that's just going to be ongoing. Sir, Jim?
Putting a ramp in over the curb to get up there with the cart?
That piece of curb's going to come out. He just left it there to kind of discourage people to be investigating that, which we don't have anybody that would do that here, but right. So that he'll saw that piece off, and it'll be very, very well done. And Mr. Pekakis.
Will you put out a map or something to delineate where people can go and not encroach on the golf course?
Good point. So the question was, will we put out a map? Will we kind of explain how that whole process is? And yes, we will. The goal with this, I think, in this kind of taking the baby steps with it, is we really need to get it cleaned up. And I know I've said that for a number of months, but most of that's been through the winter, and we haven't been able to do a lot. But to see what we got to work with, number one. And then number two, if we can make, see what the safety hazards are over there and create some sort of a walking trail, outline a map, get some benches over there, create an environment that's safe for residents. We will provide that information and make sure that there's some safety backup plans for people that might venture over there. Pete?
Yeah, I ventured over there yesterday, and there are 2 paved paths down there, but there's no connection between them except the high grass. So that would be a to-do.
Right. So that's a good point. And please be very careful. We actually would discourage residents to be venturing over there, because there are a lot of hidden pitfalls that you might not necessarily catch. I would think that, actually there's a lot of it that does connect, and the areas that they don't connect is more up the hill towards the golf course. So, if there's some path, down the road, we can connect those. And there could be disconnections that I'm not aware of. I haven't actually walked the whole thing, but. Well, it actually, so we can talk more about it, but it does, once we get a map, we'll be able to see all those connections. But most of it is connected versus disconnected, but that's, though there will be future work to do there for sure to connect them.
My concern and several other people that live in the villa, people will drive and park there at the villas, and there's only so much parking there at the villas.
Good point. Good point. So with that, and that's a great concept or a great idea to bring up. You know, we understand that, and we've certainly thought about that before acting on creating a path. We won't, you know, roll this out to, you know, the entire campus and families and staff and whatnot in a way that hurts parking and bothers, you know, the quaintness of living at the Vista Villas. That's not the goal. So again, going through this process of seeing what we have to work with, what might the use be, what types of things, you know, could we do, that parking will be a piece of that, and, you know, hours of use and all those types of things. So, you know, if you could bear with us, we'll put plans together that keep that in mind. Okay. Ms. Enzor?
You haven't mentioned redecorating. Is that what the exhibit as you come in is
Yes. Yes, it is. So might be a good place to recognize that. So I did bring as promised, I did bring the plans for the bistro and whatnot. So as we get to that slide, I'll kind of update that. So moving on, just as a general discussion on grounds, you know, now that it's been nice and sunny for 2 or 3 days, it might not feel like it's rained a lot, but it actually has. We've had some significant rain, and every day, you know, that happens, the grounds guys, you know, they try to get out there and do work outside in the rain and whatnot, but, you know, it's usually pretty futile to do that. So just to let you know, we're working on some difficult areas on campus with regards to beds and things that now that we've got a little bit of a break, we're really trying to hit those areas really hard so that we can get them up to date, get them looking good, and we feel like through May that we'll be, you know, looking a lot better than we, you know, did to begin with. But a lot of that has to do with weather and whatnot. And, you know, they do try to do things on the weekends, you know, if it does rain, when we can get folks to be here for that. But just as an update there. Panhandle Healthcare Center, just to let you know what's happening there, we actually have 3 JMU interns this summer that are completing their administrator and training program. And we have an ongoing relationship with JMU where we usually have interns in every area, and this is an example of folks that are interns that are from the healthcare administration program that come to us to learn about how administration works in a healthcare organization, and so we're excited to have them, and I always like to highlight those things when they're happening. We also just completed a CNA class that had 6 students in it, and they are currently beginning to work a little bit here in Panhandle Healthcare. And later this summer, they'll probably begin another class. And so if you remember, I've talked about that some, that, you know, over the past couple years, that has been something we've done to basically train our own CNAs and get people into the nursing field that weren't even in the nursing field before. So these are efforts that we're constantly working on to make sure that we're training, you know, staff in an appropriate way and trying to provide the best quality care that is possible. And we do that through mechanisms like this. And we also have a lot of training that occurs on campus with the area nursing schools. So we have Blue Ridge Community College comes here for their clinicals. We have Massanutten Technical Center comes here for their clinicals. We have EMU that comes here for their clinicals, as well as JMU. And so all those nursing students come here and can experience, you know, a healthcare organization and what it's like to work here. And oftentimes we end up having, you know, several of them that make the connection that says, well, I want to do this. I want to work here. And some of them are actually our staff who are working for us, and they're actually in nursing school. So we just had a few that graduated nursing school this spring, which was very impressive. And they're going to stay on with us, whether it's, you know, in a PRN capacity or part-time or something. And lastly, we do have an open house for Panel Healthcare Center on June 2nd. And, you know, if you received that invitation, which I hope many of you did, there is an RSVP on there. And the reason for that is just to get an idea of some food counts and things. So if you do plan to attend, if you don't mind making a call to the receptionists for that, they will put you on the RSVP list.
Josh, just one quick correction. It is June 1st.
Oh, wrong date? Okay,
June
sorry.
1st, from 2 to 4, and so that's also in your fund side and on that invitation that you received.
One day off. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Bistro project. So now to point out, you know, the plans and things in the back, I brought those because we had the event where we had those plans out and we could talk. I'm going to be around after this, and we'll be in the back, and Jack will be here and a few of our staff to answer questions if you missed that at the Highlands, which was 2 weeks ago. But we have selected a contractor. We've got a permit process beginning, which means they got to apply for some permits downtown here. We're hoping that work begins in June with a new parking lot that's going to go in down a little bit below the Highlands there, and we've got some site excavation that will begin there in early June and throughout the summer there. So things are moving, and as we get a timeline together, we do know that certainly there's going to be a variety of disruptions, and we're going to keep that out in front for you all so you know when the disruption is going to happen. You know, I would assume that there will be some disruption to the back entrance I would assume that there'll be disruption underneath the building where, you know, if you're, let's say you're a woodworker, maybe you'll have to come into the Highlands and go down instead of coming right into the back. There'll be a few adjustments like that. So we'll keep you informed, and I think the next slide gives us a few things. At times, we may have to decide to put some dining tables in that Blue Ridge room, the side closest to the dining room, if we have to close down that back area for a period of time. So those are things we'll plan ahead for, and how does that affect seating and numbers of people coming through. You know, and from there will be more plans for renovations for the other areas. And so we do hope that we'll be able to do a little bit of, you know, shuffle game there where as we get one, you know, if we get the new area open, we can maybe close down another area and have people eat in that area. So it'll be a period of time of creating seating so that we can work on the other areas, not lose too much seating. So did I cover, I think I got through everything on there, didn't I? Any questions on the bistro at this point? I'll be in the back to cover these things. Back to the Highlands one, please. One slide back. I was sharing with you, many of you know that I've talked about some designers coming through and looking at some things. So we've had 3 of them come through, different companies. I expect to hear some feedback from them, and we'll be looking at some bids and quotes from them on how they'll do work for us. We want to begin some focus groups, as I've shared. So begin thinking about these ideas and what your thoughts are for meeting rooms and activities rooms and things you need up there. Maybe it's something different in the Blue Ridge and Allegheny room. I mean, now's the time to kind of, bring forth your ideas, and let's see if any of those, will work with this type of project. And also one last thing I wanted to share, that we're looking at some bid options for the central garden there as you come up and pull up into the Highlands, right there at the center of the circle, and make sure that we're keeping that beautiful area that Anna Day and the Parks family put together, and keeping that in good shape. So just a few little things to update you on. Upcoming events, I'll cover these briefly. We've got the Antique Car Show Sunday. We've got a trip to Woodrow Wilson's Presidential Library and Museum. We have a putting and chipping golf tournament with John Rogers, and that's going to be at the putting green. And I am told that they need a few more folks for that. So anybody that's got a hankering for learning how to chip or putt, slip on out there. We have community breakfast on the 26th, which I hear there's some master omelet makers there. And if you like omelets, that's the place to go. And then on the 31st, we have the health fair. We're back to that again. A year goes by fast. So you know, May's busy, and I know there's some planning for a fun event in June that's a rolling 20s event down at the pavilion. So that could be if you any what do they call them, flappers, or you got hats or something. You got any outfits? Dust them off. So I know Jack is here to talk a little bit about some things happening corporately and just what we're happening here on campus. If we share a few from Jack, we could open it up to some resident comments and then have some coffee.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning. Everybody looks great as usual. Just wanted to note, I don't know if it's been announced, Nancy, or not, but Sunnyside Community was voted best in this area for retirement communities by Virginia Living Magazine. It's pretty prestigious. We've had it for 6 years. So I think it's well. And for the Southwest Division of Virginia, our Kings Grant campus was voted the best in Virginia. So it's consistent throughout our whole company. And I can't say enough about certainly the staff that tries to make it the best for you all here, and we'll continue to do that. Josh mentioned a little bit about the bistro. That's just one of a number of projects that we're having on the books. Just as a sidelight to that, for the last 4 months, I've been working on a refinancing and the new money as it relates to our financing package, and that's quite a process because being a nonprofit, some of our financing goes through tax-exempt bonds, and part of that tax-exempt bond financing structure has to go through economic development authorities of all the locations that we do business in. So it's quite a process. Hopefully Friday we will close the last of that, so we'll be able to continue on with a number of these projects that will be bringing not just new projects, but also, as Josh mentioned, to the Highlands. That was built in 1988. So we're going to be doing a number of upgrades up there too, and just trying to take that whole dining experience and repositioning the dining, and with the bistro, kind of have an assortment of different dining experiences that hopefully people not just in the Highlands will be able to experience, but also throughout the whole campus. So just I encourage you to be part of those focus groups as we continue to look to not just the present, but also to the future. A lot's been going on there. The campuses, we're redoing the dining areas at Summit Square. We're looking at putting a 12 to 14 bed memory unit in our Kings Grant operation. Also putting a lot more money back into upgrading those campuses there too. The whole bottom line is that there's a lot going on, and as we do continue to make both in this growth organically, just not to our campuses, but we always are looking for ideas and suggestions. Just because we kind of sit up here and we maybe see some things coming, y'all can help us keep abreast of things that you all see, and certainly we value your input. I will say that just as a sidelight on this bear issue, we're not the only ones that have bears. If most of y'all have gone into Harrisonburg and have gone past to the Harrisonburg crossing into Harrisonburg, I assume, where the shopping center is, and on the left is the JMU Fields. Okay, you're with me? Well, my wife was running just a couple months ago back through there, and it was in the morning, and there was a bear sitting right in those pine trees. And she spooked it that morning. She was running with somebody. So the bears do come into the city too. So unfortunately, I wish there was an easy way that we could eliminate that issue. But you know, our hands are really tied on what we could do as far as eliminating the bears, the forestry and the game wardens take a dim view of somebody just going out and shooting something like that. So, but I will assure you that we will continue, and I think he did hit the right thing, was we certainly want to watch out for the safety of everyone. On the property back there, what you have to realize is that we're still trying to master plan where we're going to be doing in 10, 15 years from now. What we do want to do is take advantage of that property back there, but we do want to make it safe. We think it's got some great opportunities for a lot of activities back there. Exactly what they are, we're not exactly sure, but I think the whole intent was that sort of the road serves two purposes, that we do have to have maintenance on the property, and we were hoping that you know, it could be a path to people not driving up through there. We're not going to be doing that, but having access to the property. So hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have a little bit better idea with that. Overall, a lot of activity from the marketing department. We, last year and this year, the marketing department for all three locations are doing what they call marketing on the move. And I can't remember all the cities, but they're going to all the major cities in Virginia and making presentations. And we've had great response, quite frankly. And the surprising thing about it is you'd be amazed at how much activity we have on social media now. Everybody on Facebook? Know what Facebook is? Not that you've got to be on it, but I'm just saying that a lot of the information that, you know, residents are looking in the future are coming through the social media. And that's become a big part of our marketing efforts, is a lot of the social media. So it's here with us. So he mentioned the new website. That's certainly, hopefully, going to be soon, and it's going to be considerably more interactive than what we have today. A lot more information on that. So technology's with us. And as I would just left another meeting today where there's another application for technology in our company. That's probably, besides actually physically building or upgrading areas within our campuses physically, technology is probably going to be one of the bigger dollar investments we have in our community. So anyway, be glad to answer any question. Apparently I've bored Bob, so he's decided to leave. That's just like Bob. He just, no respect, I know. Yes, Jack.
With Sunnyside occupancy and independent living at 89%, can you share with us what it is at the other two facilities we have?
I think you mentioned it was 91 to 92%.
Independent living here, he said, is 89%.
No, I think it was 90, 91, 92 sold. So to answer the question was, you know, what's the occupancy at the other three locations? At Summit Square, we're almost 93% there, and at Kings Grant, we're about 88% there. Kings Grant, quite frankly, is our toughest market area. Those that are familiar with the Martinsville, Henry County area know that that's got the highest unemployment in the state, and significant when we built down there. The textile and the furniture industries were very big in that area. They've since moved overseas, but we're having some good success down there, and but we're very optimistic about that campus and how it's going to be moving in the future. Questions? Come on. Yes, ma'am.
Residents there are very interested in having the hallways and the library and different, some new updated furniture and the wallpaper gone. That's what I hear the most about, and also replacement of some windows because there are halos around.
I'll just catch on. The question is, if you didn't hear it, was the Highlands renovations to the hallways and sort of the common areas. Josh mentioned that we're getting proposals from 3 different interior decorators as to some of the, and I think that's where he was mentioning that we could do some focus groups for some of your all's ideas. So it is very high on our list of making sure that we're going to be moving not just from the dining area, but also through the hallways to the lobby area and also down to the hallways. So that's on our yes, windows. Yeah, we know that that's all those are sort of also energy issues that we're looking at. But kind of not to throw a number at you, but just to kind of put it in perspective, you know, we have over $150 million worth of investment in our company, so we've got to continue to put money back in, and so we're taking those as it goes, as it relates to the priorities. Yeah, the question was, have we considered solar? One of the things that we've actually done a study, and I'm not sure quite where we are about putting solar panels on the top of the Highlands. Part of it has to be how long the sun actually, in the degree where it is, but we are looking at how we could potentially use solar on our campus. Just because you got a flat roof or it looks good, you think, but there is an investment in it, but we are very actively looking at that as we go along. My daughter has solar panels on her roof of a big house, and she paid something like $7.96 for electricity. Yeah, it looks. Yeah, it's certainly something that I think from the Green Committee's perspective, and our company and our board is committed to a sustainability policy here. As I've said many times, we have to take that by degrees because you could really spend a lot of money for these things. So we try to analyze it and make sure we can apply it to where we can do it. Just as a satellite, not to bore you, I know. But if you talk about that, one of the things that we do is we have boilers here, and we power those through fuel oil. So what we're trying to do is how we can convert those to potentially natural gas. Well, the dilemma we're in is the natural gas lines are down at the end of 33. So Columbia Gas says, you know what, gas is too cheap. We don't know if we want to put the line down. So it's not that we don't want to do, do that type of, to lower our energy bill and be more efficient. We got to have the gas get to us. And so we're in negotiating with the gas company right now to say, hey, can you run the line down? Now, there is talk, I think if you saw, I think they want to widen Massanutten Springs Road out there. So we're going to see how that relates to maybe bringing the gas further down. Because we do burn a tremendous amount of fuel oil to keep our boilers going, and we like to become more efficient in that way. So sometimes our hands are tied, but we are working to say, we know that it's probably cheaper for us to burn natural gas, but I can't get the gas here. So we're going to continue to work on that. Thoughts and suggestions were certainly welcome. And if, send it to me or Josh, and we'll try to get back to you. Questions? Remember, I'll just leave you with this from a marketing perspective. We really appreciate those that open their houses and spend time with our staycation. It is very, very critical that people get a sense of what it means to live on this campus. And for those that have done it and have done the staycation and are now residents, I'm sure they could hopefully give a testimonial. But you're our best salespeople. You are the ones that sort of make this all happen for us. So you're invested with us too, so we appreciate if there's anything we can do to help you all in that with our marketing and sales department and Josh and any one of our staff members are ready to help you on that. But I do want to say thank you for those that do part of the staycation, that bring potential residents outside into their homes and share with them the experiences you all have on the campus. It's critical for how we go. Well, I haven't seen anybody move like Bob out of here, but I'm figuring about another 5 minutes they're all going to leave, so I better leave it back to you, Josh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground, a lot of good comments from Jack, and if there are any other questions, certainly we'll answer them. Sir? Here it comes, here it comes.
I just have a comment regarding the employees. I can't say enough things about them. They are so positive. The people that are obvious are people that come here for a few days or a week, or kids out of high school, and I respect and appreciate that they are there and that you're providing something for them. But the farther back from the front line you can get them, the better off you are. Kind of let them do stuff in the background, because when they're working on someone else's house across the street and they're just hanging around leaning on their shovels, it sure looks bad.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Sally?
I was looking at the display back there. Some of us are old enough to remember World War II, and there was a color of paint that was called Army Drab. And I noticed, I suppose the decorators that chose these colors weren't old enough to remember that. But it looks to me like everything that's proposed back there, excuse me, is going to be extremely dull and dark and gloomy. And one thing I'd just like to say is, the argument that it has to be neutral. You can use pretty, pleasant, cheerful colors that are still neutral.
Good point. Thank you
And
for sharing.
If anybody has visited the memory care place at Bridgewater Retirement, they could see how lovely and cheerful and beautiful it is with nice colors.
Yes, thank you. And I was highly involved in that project as well. But just to, and that's a very good point. I think one of the things that the color boards doesn't really, maybe they don't pop enough is that a lot of times the furniture and the decorations and the artwork and things like that are the places where you can take advantage of those colors, and that the softer tones in the, whether it be the carpet and then the paint and things like that, that's just a point share with you. You don't necessarily get that from those color boards right now, but as you see that on a broader canvas, so to speak, you would get a lot more of that color versus what you're seeing back there. Yeah, and these are just color board suggestions as well. So, but I'll slip back in the back and we'll answer questions about that and whatnot. And then, good, we got a question here.
Most of you know that Jim Gilkison's memorial service will be Saturday the 20th at 7 p.m. at Trinity Presbyterian Church. And if you do need transportation for that, if you'd let me know, we will try to be sure that everyone who would like to go to that service has an opportunity to go. Thanks.
Thank you.
My number is 8619. I've got to think. Who? Carolyn Arbuckle. Sorry. Thank you, Reverend. Had to think a minute who I was. I thought it was who was speaking at Jim's service.
Oh,
that was
Lord.
not Carolyn. Okay. I'm Carolyn, 8619, and we want to be sure that everyone who would like to go to that service has the opportunity to do that. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hang around in the back and view the plans and things for those that want to. So thank you all for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.